morning and good afternoon to each and every one of you out there. Welcome to a special festive Marvel movie talk, our last show of the year. Well, our last regularly scheduled show of the year. Ooh, we've got a Craven special coming, but no time for that now. I'm excited to be here, part of the 5th annual Geekscape holiday live stream, our live audio and visual audience. You can see some of the ways that you can donate. Please feel free to do that anytime during our show. I would like to introduce our panel, returning from just mere minutes ago on Geekscape's holiday live stream, our buddy Katie Hampton. Katie, thank you so much for being here. Katie, did you mute yourself or do I just not hear you? Could be me.
Nope, it was me.
It was
I muted myself because I was typing in the chat. That was me.
Miracle. Wonderful.
Sorry about that. But hello, thanks for having me.
Figured that the one who was just podcasting would be the one whose microphone worked, but that's all right.
I mean, it was.
Now, thank you so much for being here. And of course, Eric Connor is that a giveaway from Sausage Party? What are you showing us?
It is, first of all, I wish. Secondly, it's a Brian Henson signed, I don't know the character's name, Mr. Sausage, maybe? To you, Mr. Sausage, treat him with respect.
Hey. He didn't spend 7 years in sausage medical school for you to call him Mr. Sausage. That's Dr. Sausage. All right, I'm no longer interested in what you're holding. Also with us is our buddy David Brody. Thank you. America's favorite Brooklyn boy. Is that accurate?
Yes, and in high school, I was Mr. Sausage, so I'll take that.
I have no questions about that. And thank you for joining us, our special guest, Jordan Blum. Jordan, thank you so much.
Hey, everybody. Whoa, look at a MODOK.
And there is a MODOK,
welcome.
yes. For people who maybe haven't seen our show, Jordan was the showrunner for the Marvel's MODOK on Hulu. And obviously you worked with Patton Oswalt on that. And he seems like a great guy, but I feel like you haven't been able to get rid of him since then. Is that accurate, Jordan?
He just keeps showing up.
Yeah. So your comic book series, Minor Threats from Dark Horse, and its wonderful universe of spinoffs. Obviously, that's all the brainchild of you and Patton. And we have something Marvel related to talk with you in a little bit. So thanks so much for being here. And, for our visual audience, you have a bookshelf with only like 4 books on it. I feel like you need to write some more.
I'm at my office and I've been accused of not decorating it enough. So I had the book we'll be talking about up there and a few other things.
Well, if we gave you some Loki sauce from McDonald's, would it go up on the shelf?
Sure.
Boom.
That's right. You have to have a Loki sauce to be on this show, Jordan.
What does Loki sauce taste like?
Happiness,
sour, right?
joy,
yeah,
regret, grief.
Regret. Well,
Corn syrup.
That's if you have it with a 20-pack of McNuggets, it definitely tastes like regret. In any case, happy to have all of you here today. Our buddy Nate Miller was going to be here, but the nerve of the guy, he got a job, so he was too busy for us. So, all right, I see how it goes. Money is more important than your friends. But so there's a lot of fun stuff to talk about. Obviously, I think that this was a little bit of a light year for Marvel. I think that we definitely enjoyed what we did get for the most part. Our only cinematic offering was, in fact, Deadpool and Wolverine. But if you believe the release schedule, and we could talk about whether or not we all believe the release schedule, we will get 3 films next year. And kind of what I wanted to do for this episode is have each of us just share some thoughts, overall expectations for each of these things that are coming up in the year 2025. We're going to not go through the calendar. We're going to do movies and then we'll do TV. And if I feel like we're running out of time, we're going to really breeze through animation. But there's some great animation that looks like it's coming up this year as well.
Can I ask you guys a question? Yes, I know the show is predicated on there being Marvel shows and TV out, but I mean movies and TV out. But was it also good to have a year that slowed down to make you appreciate it more?
Oh
no,
Brody's really quick with his answer of no.
No, I would rather have a bad Marvel movie than no Marvel movie. And
got Madam Web?
Oh,
That's not a
Well,
not
that's
that's a
bad.
stony.
you, but
Stop it.
you know what?
It's-
Katie, you make an excellent point because we did get Madam Web and Venom: The Last Dance, and we're a week away from Craven. So be careful what you wish for, Brody.
Okay, let me say I would like a Marvel Studios movie rather than no
Okay.
Marvel
No.
Studios production
Madam Web
movie.
all day long.
As much as I didn't like, let's say, Multiverse of Madness, as much as I was hoping to like it, I still enjoyed it, as opposed to no movies to go see. So the fact that we have 3 next year and 3 TV shows or 4, whatever it is, and then like, yeah, but the following year we're going to cut it back. No, don't cut it back. Just have good quality shows. Find a way to do both.
Good
But don't cut
quality
it down to
shows
no
means
movies.
Time, Brody.
What
Time
was
to
that,
get
Katie?
right to act.
And money.
Money.
Well,
Talent.
look, I mean, it wasn't the plan. Obviously, the strikes last year were a big factor in this, and
You're
boy,
welcome.
they keep
Thank
doing
you.
they keep doing a
Already
variety
so-
of things to slow down the release of Brave New World, but that is the first thing that we're going to talk about, and I'm a little behind the scenes. I'm using a different computer for the first time, a new computer, and
Ooh.
yeah, and sharing an image was something I wanted to do, but not happening. So I'll figure out a way to do it in a moment. But we'll go clockwise. We've talked about it on this show, but I just want to go sort of quick overviews. Katie, we are really 2 months away from Brave New World. We've seen some good glimpses of the Red Hulk. If you dig deep enough and you see what Funko has planned, you've gotten a look at the leader, so we're getting to see a lot of the stuff. Where are you at with Brave New World in terms of excitement level?
I'm really excited. I'm honestly very excited to see how they do this next phase, how everything rolls out. I I worry about some of the fandom being dickheads, but apart from that, I think we've got a really interesting part of the Marvel universe coming into play right now, and especially with current times. So I'm very excited for this movie to come out, and I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, I'm excited for President Harrison Ford.
Yes.
I know it's Thunderbolt Ross, and giving us full Harrison Ford in the trailer. They said lose the mustache or lose the election. I'm like, perfect. And I'm gonna say if they figured out a reason for President Ross to say, "Get off my plane," this is going to immediately become my favorite Marvel movie ever. Doesn't matter what else happens outside of those 10 seconds. Yeah, I'm just putting it out there.
What if they come up with a more clever way to say "get off my plane"?
I mean, come on.
What if Hulk
Get off
smash
my
plane?
Quinjet, right?
Get off my all right, you know what? Jordan, you figured out a way to make me like it even more. Yeah.
What if he
Get off
takes
my
out a
helicarrier.
whip and he whips the guy off his plane? Dun, 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 dun,
Yeah,
dun,
Yeah,
dun,
and he's
dun.
wearing the Han Solo vest. I mean, and his glasses from Witness. Look, you can really put it all together and figure it all out. Where are you at, Mr. Connor, in terms of our expectation and excitement level with a Falcon that just flew by? I'm sorry,
Well-
I have to interrupt you. There's a really important question from Marissa in the chat. Can there be snakes on the plane? If there are snakes on the plane,
That's
you
Blade.
know Nick Fury is there.
Nick Fury has to be there,
Oh, yeah, it's Nick Fury.
holding all the snakes. I mean, obviously, McDonald's was very excited about this. Thus, they released the toys. What Christian, was it spring of this year? Like
Well,
January?
yeah, and we've talked about how McDonald's doesn't care about movie studios
Release
shuffling
dates.
their release calendar. When the Happy Meal promotion is supposed to happen, that's when it happens, because they can't do it in February, probably because there's going to be like a Super Mario or who knows what else. So it's like, well,
Right.
put your movie out whenever you want. But now Eric has all the toys, and I think one of the toys is a Red Hulk, right?
Yeah, no, I didn't get. I don't go to McDonald's that often, and I always say, "Oh yeah, no, I'm buying." For
You're
my
the
kid."
one who gave me Loki sauce. Eric.
Yeah, you have Loki sauce and toys for kids. You don't go to
I bought
McDonald's a
that.
lot.
That might have been an eBay purchase. Loki sauce is actually illegal in California.
I see a McDLT container on your shelf.
Oh, that's not
Been
dressing.
there
That's,
since 1986.
it's still
Jordan,
in my
this is all
beard as
just
well.
research of what you can put on your shelves.
Right,
if you
right.
want.
It's
Jordan,
all
I hope
window
you're
dressing.
taking notes of all the
You
great
could
things
use
you can
some.
add to
Yeah,
your.
send some of your stuff to my office.
Jordan, I'll be happy to send you all the Loki sauce you need. Just don't let it touch your skin.
Yeah.
Okay, I care too much about you. I mean, obviously, I got my Captain America shirt. I got my Falcon just off camera here. I do like that I have a toy that was still when she was Israeli. So the toy is
Yes.
Israeli. The character is now Russian.
Oh,
I'm
Oh,
a
Sabra's
little-
Russian now?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Really?
Because
Just,
they're not at war.
Yeah, because they're nice.
because everybody likes the Russians. No, they basically gave her Natasha Romanoff's backstory. Is my
Yeah.
understanding. I mean, we'll see when we see the movie. There's probably 8 more reshoots between now and the time it comes out. But our expectation is that yes, she's Russian now.
And Christian, you just spoke to my concern because I think if I just had the trailers, I love Anthony Mackie in the role. I love the idea of Harrison Ford as Thunderbolt Ross. It's not quite the same as getting a President Harris, but I'll take President Harrison. So excited about that. But the reshoots, the rumors, I know someone who actually did see a test screening, and he was not allowed to say much, but what he did say was like some of it's great and some of it, and then he just walked away. So I'm a little nervous. I'll of course be there opening like all of y'all, but I just hope that they figured it out somehow in post because it's a good property. It's good characters.
Sure.
Let's
Yeah.
hope they didn't screw it up.
Yeah, and by opening day, you mean we'll be going on our 2nd annual Valentine's Day movie date because last year we saw Madam Web, so this would
It's your
have to be better.
anniversary.
Yeah, exactly. It is our Webiversary.
Web
Brody, where are
anniversary.
you at with Brave New World? And our video audience is finally able to see the Hulk punching Sam's shield.
A human strength Falcon. I'm going to go with 8, 9, 10 on the 3 movies coming out. I'll tell you my other ones when you ask me, but I'm going to go with an 8 level
Okay.
of excitement for Captain America. I probably gave it a point or 2 higher because I'm so desperate for a Marvel Studios movie that I gave it an 8. And I'm excited to see Red Hulk, although it's just the Hulk with its red. But
No, he has a Harrison Ford face. I mean, if you look at Red Hulk, he
Yes,
definitely
yes.
has Harrison Ford's face.
Yeah, absolutely. I watched Shrinking last night, and I'm like, oh, there's the Red Hulk.
Yeah. And by the way, he has the reaction that Harrison Ford does if you ask him whether or not he thinks Greedo shot first. That's actually what happens to Harrison Ford. His face gets that bright red.
Right. Hulk no care. Right. I'm excited about it. I'm curious to see who's in the movie that we don't know about yet, because I feel like there'll be some cameos that spin off into other movies, especially since this movie was supposed to come out last year. They probably have cameos for Marvel TV, like for Agatha all along that already happened. I think, like we talked about in some of our comic book reviews, during the movie, there'll be a little thing that says, as seen in the movie that's not out yet, right? It'll be like, oh, as you may have already seen in Thunderbolts, coming soon. So I'm excited about it, but I'm looking to see where it leads in the story. That's really what I'm most excited about, to see what the big picture story is, since it's obviously not Infinity Gauntlet this time. So where's it going?
Yeah, well, I believe the answer is Doom. Jordan, as we sit about 2 months away from Brave New World, what are your thoughts? Are you nervous that they won't get it right? What are your expectations?
My excitement for this film hinges on one thing, which is Giancarlo Esposito has been confirmed as playing Copperhead, I believe, right? So if I don't see the Serpent Society and dudes in snake suits, I'm out. Then the movie's a failure to me. Also, I think they're huge cowards for not giving Red Hulk the Thunderbolt Ross mustache.
Yeah,
I think we should have had a Hulk with a mustache, is what I'm saying.
You know what?
Hulk
there's still
stash.
time. This isn't going to be his one-off
stash.
appearance, but you're right. Yeah,
But Serpent Society, to me, if they get that right, I'll see it twice.
Yeah, which I remember the Comic-Con where they teased Civil War.
Yeah.
They first told us that it was going to be called Captain America Serpent Society, and I was very excited. And then they're like, "Oh no, wait, that's the wrong title. It's actually Civil War." And I understand it's a much
Right.
bigger
Everyone
story,
else
but I
cheered.
was
I
like,
booed. I wanted serpents.
"Yeah, Jordan, we've had to wait like almost 10 years
Yeah.
to finally get the Serpent Society."
I want a union of supervillains who all dress like snakes in this film. Because that's
You
what
want
makes
the
Serpent
Serpent
Society amazing.
Crown?
They're union boys. Did you know that? It's a union of supervillains. They pay dues. There's guarantees in the union that they get bailed out of jail by Sidewinder, I think, who can teleport.
Yeah.
It's a great concept.
Post-credit scene, they strike, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do they have no-show jobs where like someone gets paid, doesn't have to go to work?
No, there's no scabs either.
Nice. Giant rat. If anybody works in the Serpent Society who's not the union,
Exactly.
Well, keeping ourselves with the snake theme, we'll do sort of the snake draft, where now we'll do the reverse order. So, Jordan, you just had your thoughts on the first cinematic offering in 2025. How do you feel about Thunderbolts? We've got a couple of really fun seeming trailers that if YouTube weren't YouTube, I'd probably play them right now while we talk over them, but we'll just kind of look at them looking up in surprise.
Well, I'm hoping that this is the one that surprises all of us, because I think the trailers have been really good and have made me the most excited, I think, for a Marvel project in a while. I feel like the hardest thing this movie has going against it is not being the Suicide Squad or redress Suicide Squad, and finding a way to tell a different story, since we've had 2 Suicide Squad movies and now there's Creature Commandos, which is like a third Suicide Squad project. And having this be able to have an identity different from those films.
Yeah, I think that leaning on Red Guardian and obviously Yelena, who I would say that Yelena first and foremost, but to an extent, Red Guardian really stole the Black Widow movie from Black Widow. Right. I think that and they knew what they were doing, and maybe I had already said my goodbyes to Natasha. Maybe that had something to do with it, but I think their dynamic seems fun. And look, I think you can really explore the John Walker character, and we could really get some stuff out of that, because Wyatt Russell did a tremendous job in making us hate him in Falcon and Winter Soldier. So if he's able to even win over half of the audience, then I think it'll be impressive.
Why do you think
Brody?
not calling him
sorry, go ahead, Jordan. What was that?
Why do you think they're not calling him U.S. agent? Is it because that joke only works when you see it written out?
I think so. Actually, okay. It's a great point. But maybe it's a reveal. Maybe it's U.S. agent asterisk, just like Thunderbolt.
He is credited as U.S. agent in IMDb, though.
Okay, because in the trailer they just call him John Walker, and I'm like, that's not going to excite people.
That's not. It's not a great superhero name. Like how, in all honesty, Jean Grey's superhero name has been Jean Grey for at least the decade of the 90s. So
terrible.
Yeah. Brody, your thoughts on Thunderbolts asterisk?
Jean Grey?
Nope. That's another show. Another
very excited. That's my 9 on my 8, 9, 10 scale, giving away what my 10 is. The trailers, to Jordan's point, have been fantastic. Funny, action-packed, a little bit of mystery, a little bit of misdirection. You're not sure what's going on with the Winter Soldier character. A couple of characters at the moment I don't care about, like Ghost and Taskmaster, but hoping that they find a way to get people to like them. So I'll see what their journey is. Yelena needs a code name. I'm sorry. Yelena is just not John Walker and Yelena. Those aren't superheroes. So I need to call her Black Widow at some point.
I would expect they would call her Black Widow at some point.
By the end, I think she earns the mantle and to pay tribute to her sister, yada, 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 yada.
Right.
But I'm very excited about it and to see how they make the scene look like New York again. But Red Guardian to me is the star of the movie, even if he has 2 lines. David Harbour's fantastic as Red Guardian.
I agree.
And I think he's going to be the breakout character of the movie. I hope he gets his own movie or Disney Plus show at some point. I think that's what's most going to come out of this movie is how great he is. So.
Yeah, and he's actually not that busy doing Stranger Things. So they sure take
done filming
time with that show.
Yeah,
well,
they're done filming, so he's over. Yeah,
exactly.
I was about to ask, are you guys Are you guys Sentry fans? Are you excited for the
I was
Sentry?
just going to say, yeah, Sentry's not in there. Didn't remind me, but Sentry could be an amazing new character if done right. If you speak to that, Jordan, that, I'm not.
Yeah, no, and I'm glad you brought it up, Jordan. I think that's one of those ones where it's a little bit of a let me wait and see how they portray the character, but I'm excited at the concept. What are your thoughts on Sentry?
I thought it was like a fun gag they did in the comics that like works once for a story. I don't know if the characters had staying power. Evil Superman, or out of control Superman we've seen a lot of times, but I think just from the teases of meeting Bob in the trailer, I think they have a fun comedic kind of spin on it that'll make it more interesting and different from the comics.
Yeah, no, and I think that there are those characters in the trailer, and Sentry being one of them. And Brody, you mentioned Ghost, you mentioned Taskmaster, and we've had the theory that some of them might not be in the film for very long. If Jordan, you referenced the Suicide Squad. The second one sure had a lot of characters that had about 8 seconds of screen time. So I wonder if we're going to get any of that. So let's see. But someone who deserves more than 8 seconds of screen time is my friend Eric Connor. And Eric, I'm interested in your expectations for Thunderbolts, which will be with us, I believe, May 2nd is the release date.
The trailers agreed have been great, and I think putting it's interesting because like Black Widow obviously had a bit of a troubled release. I know Scarlett Johansson's actually an executive producer on this film as part of Disney's apology tour for not releasing that theatrically alone. I assume it's part of the settlement for that suit she actually brought. And with that, though, we get 3 of the 4 main characters from Black Widow, which is pretty exciting to me. Rachel Weisz is also in this, and they were such a fabulous group together. Like they had really good chemistry. So I'm excited that it's not just 1 or 2 of them. I am a little less excited about Ghost and Taskmaster. It feels like what we always talk about, right, with the TV shows. It's a little bit more like TV budget friendly to get characters like that. I agree. They seem like red shirts. They seem like chum. I'm not going to be too attached to them emotionally. I don't think we're going to see them past minute 37. But the truth is, like, the characters on paper are cool. Taskmaster in comics is kind of interesting. They just never really explored what made Taskmaster Taskmaster. Maybe now they have a little bit of space. I'm a big Sentry fan, actually, from the comics, from certain runs of the comic, I should say. Mostly because Sentry, like Molecule Man, these characters that have almost unlimited power, but their mental state is the problem. And that makes them fascinating to me. And lastly, John Walker, Kurt Russell's son, just like Bill Pullman's son, part of the Nepo Baby cast. I'm pretty excited about John Walker as a name. It's like the wrestlers who were the chum of the 80s, the jobbers, the enhancement talent who would show up. Hulk Hogan against John Walker. John Walker would only have blue tights, and he would last.
So I'm sorry, are you saying he's the gobbledygooker of the Thunderbolts?
Gobbledygooker at least had a character. John, the Jose Luis Rivera's did not. So, but
honestly, I was just mentioning that only to.
I'm proud of you for knowing it, though.
It's like one of the only obscure wrestlers I know because it's such a ridiculous idea. But finish your thought. I'm sorry, Eric.
No, just I think this one, Suicide Squad maybe looms a little bit, but with this cast and bringing the people back that they did, I think their head's in the right place. And then let's not forget, of course, Julia Louis-Dreyfus, who is, I will see her in anything at this stage. I adore her. So her as Valentina, that's great. So excited.
Yeah, no, I agree, and that's definitely an important part, and it's fun to see her interacting with everyone in the trailer. Katie, thoughts on Thunderbolts?
Also very excited. There's not going to be much that you don't find me excited about, but I'm also very curious about Wyatt Russell's whole arc because he was very clearly a villain in Falcon Winter Soldier, and to be starring in ostensibly a Suicide Squad, I want to see how they win us over as an audience to him in general. And like, I mean, is he also chum, or are we actually going to see U.S. Agent? I'm not really sure. So I'm curious to see that. And I think that's where we'll get a lot more Julia Louis-Dreyfus as well, which I'm very excited to see because she crushes that character. It's such a great character for her. But yeah, no, I'm excited. I don't know how they're going to do with Wyatt. I'm honestly nervous for David Harbour. I don't know if he's going to make it out of this movie, and I'm scared about that.
Oh,
No. Breakout star.
You're
Just
probably
put
right.
that out. I think he's going to be
No.
breakout star. I think he's going to do a great
No.
job. I think
Ghost is going to
hilarious.
die. It's in her name.
We barely got Ghost the first time we saw her. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
Ghost is one of those people, like, I agree. Like, I want to be excited about her because, like, the comic book character is so interesting, and all the stuff that you guys have told me about it, I love. But it's just like we haven't seen too much on a cinematic scale, and I don't know what else that they can promote or show that would make it that interesting. But I don't know.
My money's on Bucky dying a second time.
Another time. Okay.
Because they've arced him. I don't know what else you do with that
Yeah.
character. He's gone through a full redemption arc. We've done
Right.
all the Bucky stories. There really isn't much left to do.
He loses his other arm.
Sebastian Stan in the last few years has played Tommy Lee from Motley Crue. He's played Donald Trump, and he was Jeff Gluey, or maybe he was somebody different in that movie, but you know what I'm saying. So we've, it's almost like, Bucky is like one of the least interesting people that I can play. Our friend Adam Hughesy, the H-Man Hughes, Craven the Hunter. I'm going into it with positive thoughts. You can't get something wrong 5 times in a row. Oh, well. Hughesy, as an Irishman, you'll appreciate the phrase, hold my beer. And David Harbour doesn't need Marvel. He's got Violent Night 2 coming. The Wickverse is happening. I enjoy Violent Night.
I did too.
That was great. That was excellent.
But Craven has something none of those movies had, which is a good director. J.C. Chandler's a really good director who's made incredible films. So Craven has that on its side.
Yeah, well, and that's honestly, like, some of the action in the trailer, like it feels like Sony's last poll for, hey, what about this property too? But I'm interested. I'm very interested and excited for that. It depends on how it's written. It depends on the story. It depends on how it all plays out. But I'm interested in that. I'll at least see it.
Katie, are you going to go see Craven with your friend who was the
Craven on
actor
the
for Craven in the
PlayStation
video
Sony?
game, who was on our show?
He's a busy guy. So if his schedule clears up at some point and he stops filming all of the things that he's doing or working on video games, then maybe I'll go see it with Jim.
Well, there you go. And we appreciated that. So, Katie, now I would like you to take your first steps in telling us what you think about Fantastic Four First Steps, the little bits that we've seen. Of the movies that we're talking about, July 25th seems overly ambitious. I know that they clearly want it to come out the same weekend as Comic-Con, I guess. But if one of these movies were to maybe get pushed a little bit, I feel like it's this one. But we're going to, push full steam ahead and hope that we do get it in July. Obviously, it's going to come out at some point. And what do you think casting-wise? And really, we've just had little snippets.
We really have only had like little snippets. I'm very curious about the full storyline, how they're going to bring all of this together. And what they might potentially open the door for. So yes, this is the most I'm excited about something. I love Comic-Con weekend releases because last year or this year it was Deadpool Wolverine, and it's always the weekend of Comic-Con. It's always the weekend of my birthday. So this is definitely something that I'm hyped for. I hope they keep this similar date of release because honestly, I don't see why they would push it at this point. But you never know with reshoots and all of that.
Well, yeah, I think that you would push it because you need more time for the effects.
Sure.
If
And
Reed
I'm
Richards looks
with
like
that.
Reed Richards in the Roger Corman film, which Eric and I, of course, are a tremendous fan of, and we spoke with Dr. Doom Joseph Culp on this show earlier in the year. But that's what I think the one thing might be. It's really quick turnaround for the post-production, and just Hughesy makes the thought that great directors and bad films. Christopher Nolan made Tenet. I know some people who like it. It wasn't for me, but the example I was going to use was Francis Ford Coppola made Megalopolis, which I did see, by the way. So,
and those are all better than Morbius. So,
yep. Amen.
Honestly, the thing about Morbius is that it's shorter than Megalopolis. So I'm going to have to give a very slight edge, but neither one of them is rewatchable. Eric, your thoughts on Fantastic Four First Steps?
Well, I don't know if we're going to get the super sleek, kind of like handsome Doctor Doom or the gnarled and ugly Doctor Doom. All I know is that dude's showing up at some point in this, and the place and the world will erupt for it. This is Marvel's home run swing. This is the big one. And it is amazing how you could take such a great title and make such mediocre films from it, and or downright terrible films. In interviewing Mr. Culp, I mean, you and I both genuinely have an affinity for the first one because it had more of the spirit of the comic in it. As terrible as the one with Michael B. Jordan was, I found the ones prior to that were even worse because they had some of the talent, but none of the fun. This is a fantastic cast. I think the director choice, right? The director's a good choice. I think they need this to do great. But I also heard the music as part of they did MCU at the Hollywood Bowl, and I took my older son to that, and they actually premiered a piece of music from Fantastic Four. And even hearing the music was exciting. It was really terrific. It's Michael Giacchino. I'm not sure. I apologize if I butchered the name.
Yeah, it's a tough one to say, and I almost tried to help you say it, and then I realized I can't say it either. But he also directed Werewolf by Night, as you recall.
Yeah, and the music just sounded great, and it had such a real kind of, I don't know, like a feel to something from another time. Like the energy of it was very much like along the lines of like a great 80s action film or fantasy movie. So I think I want it to be great. I'm so excited for what it could be. A little nervous, but I think they've set themselves up well with this one.
Yeah, no, I agree. And Sereno Bite points out Morbius was even shorter when you fast forward through it. Yeah, look, I mean, if you only want to see the Matt Smith scenes, then it actually doesn't take that long.
If you take out the lab scenes from that, which was like about 50 minutes of the runtime,
there's a lot of labs.
Oh my Lord, so much lab.
If you never watch it like I didn't, then it's 0 minutes.
And before we get to Mr. Brody, I just want to remind everybody that you can donate at geekscapegives.com. This is the 5th annual Geekscape Holiday live stream tacular for Big Brothers, Big Sisters of coastal and northern New Jersey. So please give often, even if you're listening to the audio version of this after the fact, you can go right ahead and give a donation there. Mr. Brody, Fantastic Four. What are your thoughts?
Well, that's my 10. Surprise. Spoiler. First off, I'm surprised that they did not release it on July 4th, which is also a Friday, a couple of weeks earlier. Fantastic Four on the 4th. It's a holiday weekend. Moviegoers, it would make sense to me, but they have their own plan. They didn't ask me for advice. This movie has created a world, a font, and it looks, the casting is spot on. And it looks like it's perfect to me so far. It's a brilliant way to bring them into the MCU because you couldn't explain them not being in the MCU for all this time. And I grew up reading the comics. They were my second favorite behind the Avengers. So I've had the Avengers movies. So this is a treat for me. The original, like the other Fantastic Four movies, have been so bad that I feel like if this movie is 7, it's going to be a 12 in most people's minds. I just think the concept art has, everything about it so far has been perfect. I couldn't be more excited. I see a picture of Ben Grimm on the beach and I go, oh my God, it's Ben Grimm on the beach. So I have not been this hyped for a movie, or as the kids say, hype for a movie. It's giving excitement, as the kids say.
Oh my God.
Which kids?
I don't know why they dropped the word vibes. That seems to be a thing, but okay.
Brody actually just private messaged me that he believes it will be turnt, and I don't think you're using it correctly.
Oh, so. It's not. It's definitely not mid. It's definitely AF. No. It's definitely AF.
It's definitely not
mid. We've had plenty of mid. By the way, Sereno Bite points out, because she's Italian, it's Giacchino. Yeah, see, I still can't do it. But,
I'm more confused now.
Yeah, I know. I'm more confused.
Giacchino.
No, CC is Ch.
Yeah. So Jordan, obviously getting the first family of Marvel as part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. There's reasons why we weren't able to start there, but it's finally happening. your thoughts on finally getting Reed, Sue, Johnny, and Ben, and after a little while, maybe Jennifer, and then Ben comes back.
Well, next to the X-Men, the Fantastic Four are my favorite Marvel franchise, and I'm a diehard fan. Everything I've seen is exciting. What's exciting to me is that it feels like the movie's going to have its own identity, that they're taking a big swing, the period piece stuff, the retro futurism, because my biggest complaint with the MCU is I think post Endgame, the movies have felt very homogenized to me. They felt very much like they don't have their own visual identity, or that there's a subgenre that's being played with. They just kind of feel, a lot of them, like the next chapter of the Marvel story. And what I want is a movie that stands on its own, that feels like it's its own, like I said, has its own visual look and its own personality, and feels nothing like the Marvel movies I've seen before. And I think that's what we're getting. And I think it's kind of a wake-up call for the MCU to start taking bigger risks and trying other things that are new and different in tone and in an appearance.
Yeah, and I would like to be able to sit down and see that movie knowing, maybe slightly more than I know about it right now. There's a lot of questions about it. Obviously, the era seems kind of apparent, but do they start off in the MCU? Is this somewhere else? And there's a multiverse wormhole. Maybe Doom opens it. There's so many different ways we can go. Are we going to get into the negative zone? Probably not. So there's so much that they can do. I just, it's one movie. Don't try and do it all. I do agree with the idea that we are going to see Doom at some point. And you have some artwork, Eric, that you're holding up. Fantastic for the movie. Is this your VHS of the? Yeah.
Oh, I bought that at a con. Yeah, when I was a kid.
Yeah. Mine never had fancy artwork like that. It has the same.
Yes.
Fantastic.
Yes.
By the way, you decided to not be kind and rewind. You should probably rewind that.
And straighten that label.
Yeah. And by the way,
extended play, I'm sure.
It's been left there for like 15
Thank you,
years.
Kate.
It probably won't play anymore. So something to keep in mind for your VHS maintenance.
I play it once a month just to remember my happiness.
Yeah.
I mean, this was one of those finds too, and I think if you haven't, I know we've talked about before, but Doomed, the great documentary about this, really kind of lovely, because the original cast really was all in on it, and it feels like maybe some of that too is what's I'm noticing in how the cast is talking about it. They really seem, and two of them are in Gladiator 2, so in some ways this is an unofficial Gladiator 3.
Yes. You know what? I'm glad you're saying what everybody's hoping is that this is actually Gladiator 3.
The other thing is the stakes, right? The stakes of this movie. If this does not work,
that's it for them.
Do not know what the future of the MCU looks like.
Yeah.
Like, if they can't get this in X-Men, right? Like, we might be looking at a full reboot. Like, who knows? Like, I really feel like they can't screw this up.
Yeah, you're right. They bought a company for the right to do this.
Right. And I mean, to QZ's point earlier, can you mess it up 4 times? They're going to see. But obviously, I think the people involved, we're not going to get that. We'll move a little bit quicker. We'll talk about the live action shows. We'll talk about all of them in one group. I feel like I know where this panel is going to sit in terms of excitement level. We're going to get Daredevil Born Again on March 4th in 2025. And according to the notes that I saw, Ironheart will be on June 4th. And Wonder Man is sometime December 2025. That's a very believe it when I see it sort of a thing. Me personally, couldn't be more excited. I'm excited for the movies that we talked about. But the idea that this Daredevil Born Again show is basically going to be a 4th season of the Netflix show. Obviously, there's going to be some tweaks and adjustments to it, but it's essentially what the spirit of it is going to be. I can't be more excited for that because of how many episodes we're going to get. There's going to be 19 episodes. Are we getting them all at once? and I don't mean 19 episodes on one day. I mean, are we getting 19 weeks of Daredevil? I don't know if I'd be able to handle that. And Ironheart, we got to meet Riri Williams in Wakanda Forever, and this is something that they've been telling us is coming for a while. But I'm ready for this story that they teased back in that movie. I love the Wonder Man character, Simon Williams, and I hope that they captured the tone of Wonder Man. But we'll sort of go in the reverse order. Jordan, as we talk about Daredevil, Born Again, Ironheart, and Wonder Man, your thoughts on the Disney Plus TV slate for 2025?
Well, I love Daredevil. Obviously, I love the Netflix show, but if I'm being honest, I'm most interested in Wonder Man because I want something I haven't seen.
Sure.
I want something different, and if they lean into the kind of Hollywood satire of it, a superhero in Hollywood, I think that could be interesting. I think that's all I want out of these is not more of the same, but give me a new meal, and I think Wonder Man has the most potential to be that.
Right, exactly. I agree with that, and it's like it's so unformed, and I'm so unsure about it. But I am excited for that, and you didn't even make me realize. Yes, it is going to be something different. But I agree. I can't wait to see what it is when we see it. Brody, your thoughts?
Very excited about Wonder Man. One of my favorite comic runs that we've talked about recently was when Wonder Man came back for the first time with Voodoo. And so I'm a fan of the character. I stopped following him before he came the Hollywood actor type. He wasn't, but they didn't really mention the Hollywood aspect when I was reading the comics. So I'm interested in seeing that aspect of him. I think the casting is great. I'm not going to try to pronounce the actor's name, but he's fantastic. He was great in Watchmen. Mateen,
Yahya Abdul Mateen, I think.
Yeah, that's it. Thank you. He's fantastic. I think the casting with him is terrific. My favorite of the three shows is Daredevil. Yes, we've seen it, but it's such a comfortable old pair of shoes that I can't wait to put back on. That first hallway fight scene I'm going to be screaming and yelling on my couch. I cannot wait. There's a 5-year time jump. I think they released this week. So that's a big change. We'll see where the characters have come in the past 5 years. The fact that they put Karen and Foggy back in the show is tremendous for me. I found a shirt with Daredevil on it. If you can see that, I'm very excited about Daredevil. And Ironheart comes out June 4th.
Yeah. Well, thank you for giving us that viewpoint. Eric Connor, your thoughts on the live action TV slate?
I think we're still on the heels of Agatha, which turned out to be pretty great overall, and I think what Jordan, you were saying before about kind of Marvel has to find its own new footing, because they had been playing a little bit safe, going for doubles instead of really taking big swings. And I feel like in some ways, like Wonder Man and Ironheart, they're not necessarily going for the biggest of swings, but you could see at least the real estate they have different from other shows. Daredevil Born Again, I have to admit, I actually did not watch Daredevil when it was on Netflix, and I'm not sure why, because I like Daredevil. I didn't really collect the comic, but I always loved I loved his costume, and I always liked when he appeared in other comics. But every time I've watched any of it, I've been impressed. So I'm looking forward to doing a little bit of a deep dive over Christmas time of Daredevil just to get up there. And I know we're going to look at Daredevil Born Again in our book club as well. But I think Wonder Man is the one that could be really interesting. He is a great actor. He was so good in Watchmen. To talk about it would be to spoil some of that show, which I would not do. Please, everyone, watch that show at some point. And he was also in Candyman, and that's a tough set of shoes to follow, Tony Todd's, who unfortunately just lost recently, So I think like these are interesting choices, smart choices, also a little bold, and a touch of risk, but also really all three of them, no one's going to confuse any one of those shows with any other show that's happening. So I think Marvel's is making good strides in 2025 with these three.
And Katie, as we take a look at the live action Disney Plus TV slate, Daredevil Born Again, Ironheart, Wonder Man, your thoughts?
To echo everybody else's sentiment, I'm very interested and curious about Wonder Man. I don't know a lot about it. The fact that when the trailer came out and it was an actor, I was like, ooh, interesting. Hollywood doesn't usually like making things with like that's about Hollywood. But like,
Well, the
something like
sitcom Joey was
Zero-
about a working actor moving out to Los Angeles, but I know
sure,
what you're saying. That's not what
you
we
know,
want to
it's not
Only in the
necessarily
first season.
We're still
right.
recovering.
Right. But apart from that, like I'm excited to see what they do satirize in terms of Hollywood, because I think it's going to be really fun. I'm most excited about Ironheart. I don't know much about it, but the trailers for, or the teaser, I guess, that we've gotten from it, I'm very excited for. And I'm hoping that Daredevil is going to be like Bosch Legacy, where it's a different network, but it's still just as good and centered around the people that you want to watch. And, you just get more good story with like a different kind of network. I worry about that transition from like the Netflix show to a Marvel show, and I don't know what that's going to look like. I hope they also have some kind of self-identifying look and feel to it. And I think there's potential for some really great cameos, but we'll see. Yeah, I mean, most of all, I'm excited for Ironheart. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad to hear that there's all this excitement level, and the idea of getting multiple Disney Plus shows for Marvel is exciting. Just a very quick shout out that we will get some animated fare. What If Season 3 is actually starting on the 22nd of December. Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, January 29th. Eyes of Wakanda, August 6th. And Marvel Zombies is a mini series that we'll get in October. So we will talk about all of those shows in the new year on Marvel Movie Talk. We will be back in January to discuss What If Season 3. But it is still the holiday season. And for anyone on your list who is a fan of this show, I know a book that would be amazing for them to check out. Jordan, what can you tell us about Marvel Unforgettable Stories?
Pat and I got to curate our favorite stories. We're not saying they're the best stories Marvel's ever published, the ones that we enjoy the most, that have affected us in our writing and our fandom. We've got everything from classic Stanley, Steve Ditko, Spider-Man lifting the heavy thing, to some deeper cuts like X Factor Examinations, which is just X Factor in therapy, which I love so much, to Runaways #1, which I think is the perfect first issue, to Hawkeye Pizza's My Business, which just, I think, pushes the form forward. It's an amazing Matt Fraction, David Aja story that's seen through the eyes of Pizza Dog.
And I mean, that Matt Fraction Hawkeye obviously is a huge inspiration on the Hawkeye TV series we got. One of the books in there that I often talk to people and say, if you read one comic book with the X-Men, I will usually say God Loves Man Kills, because that is a graphic novel. But it being a graphic novel, it's hard to include in a collection like this. If you look at just single issue of a monthly series that just came out, this Wounded Wolf is the name of the episode, the issue, and it's really like Wolverine has amnesia. He's in the snow and he's speaking Japanese. And one of the things that I always thought that the great Chris Claremont did well with Wolverine was pairing him up with young female protagonists, obviously Kitty Pryde in my favorite miniseries, but also Jubilee. This issue has Katie Power from the Power Pack for no reason other than he felt it fit the story,
in the bloodiest Wolverine.
Yeah, and it's a lot of like, she has to like look away at one point. And look, when I was a kid, I loved Power Pack. I think I was 8 when it came out, and I was like, yes, this is amazing. I also love the X-Men. So this is such a great story. I have told people, like, just read this one. If you don't like it, you're probably not going to be into Wolverine comics. So I was very excited, Jordan, that you included it in there. And we recently did an episode where we talked about our favorite stories in the Marvel universe, and that one was almost on my list, but we only did 3. So I was like, let's put God Loves Man Kills, but that one's right up there. And I think the important thing is, you're not doing like, oh yeah, let's put Civil War, let's put Secret Wars, let's put the Dark Phoenix saga. Obviously you can't put any of that stuff, in there because they're whole collections.
Yeah, you want them to kind of mostly stand on their own. Some of them, like that Fantastic Four story, is like a part four of the story. But like things like that Captain America issue, it's just it's Magneto versus the Red Skull, where Magneto puts him in a hole, and it's a story I don't think anyone is aware of. That's incredible. Like, of course, a Holocaust survivor, when forced to team up with a Nazi, is like, I'm not going to team up with this guy. I'm going to put this guy in a hole and make him suffer. And it's incredible. So there's little, hopefully, gems that maybe people aren't.
I was glad to see those in there because the Mark Grunwald run on Captain America, I loved that era. That's the era that I've talked to you about before, that has scourged the character that would just assassinate like D-level villains just for the sake of like, yeah, we got too many of them. And I love that era. And big fan of Mark Bagley, who, as we pointed out recently on Geekscape Book Club, was the winner of the Marvel Tryout book. So good for him. It's a tremendous collection. And Amazing Spider-Man 33, you sort of referenced it. That's the, him holding up, they kind of recreated it in the first Tom Holland film, just the weight of everything on his back, right, Jordan?
Right. Yeah. That's the moment, the Spider-Man moment.
And by the way, you sent us the link, Christian. If you're going to watch one unboxing video this year, you got to watch Jordan and Patton Oswalt unboxing their I guess the first copy you got.
Yeah, it was the first time we saw it, and they filmed it, and it was incredible. I mean, that Marcos Martin cover, it's an original piece of art he did for the book, who's one of my favorite Spider-Man artists, and he got to draw all the characters that we had in there. So not only is like Spider-Man thing on it, but like Multiple Man and Strong Guy are on it, which makes me so happy.
No Turner D-Century, though. I was surprised about the lack of Turner D-Century. Jordan, you've turned me into an addict of that character. So.
Well, and we'll get and I do have to call out the lack of Armadillo, but you know what? We can't get it all, can we, Jordan? Maybe volume 2 will have an Armadillo story.
Yes, if they let us do more, he'll be there.
Well, and that's such a tremendous idea. I love these big collections. Claremont put one out. Marvel put out a Claremont collection a couple years ago that I got, and many of them were comics I already owned. But it's great when you can have a big volume like this and kind of look through them. And I like that you had some more recent stuff. Untold Tales of Spider-Man, is certainly. They barely were told, even in Untold Tales, because I don't believe that there was a tremendous reaction to those books. But there was also that early years X-Men book at the same time. In any case, Jordan, I hope everybody knows that they can find that wherever they find books. Perhaps your comic book store has it.
It's put out by the Folio Society, and you can order it on their website. They had, I think, like 100 signed copies, but I'm not sure if there's any left. But you can still order this from them and get it in time for Christmas.
Right. And in our final moment, what's new in the world of Minor Threats? What's on the stands right now that people can go out and buy? And I know there's been some recent collections and new spin-offs and such.
Yeah, the volume 2 trade is out. And for the main Minor Threats title, Barfly's wrapping up. And we launch a brand new #1 next week called The Brood, which is sort of the way it was pitched to me, which I loved, was what if Gene Hackman's Lex Luthor grew up into Gene Hackman's Royal from Royal Tenenbaums. So it is Lex Luthor's succession by way of sort of a more indie vibe, a Royal Tenenbaum, Wes Anderson vibe.
I love that idea. Obviously, in a career filled with brilliant performances, those are two of my favorite of Gene Hackman. Well, we want to thank our panel and everyone in the live chat, and of course, the great Matt Kelly from Geekscape, who is burning the midnight oil, the noon oil, the later afternoon. Later on, I'll be back on the network at 8 Eastern. We'll be ranking Muppet Christmas movies and specials, so I'm excited to have that conversation. I want to give everybody a brief moment to get their plugs out there and where they can find you. Katie, where can people find you other than coming up more on Geekscape?
Yes, I will also be there for the Muppet stuff, and then also later on in RPG where I play a robot. But you can always find me at elsassypants, ELSASSYPANTS. Apparently, you can find me in the crowd in Rhythm and Flow on Netflix right now, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Also, listen to Napping Through Happy Hour, where we talk real life, real drama, all in real time.
You're going to have a great guest on that show really soon. I think it's
Yeah,
Monday, isn't it?
I think it is. Yeah.
It's me. Eric Connor, where can people find you?
Count Eric Connor, ERICCONNER, over on Insta, and that place called X that you might not want to go to. I get it. Just, I don't know, find me somewhere else.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you can also find me on Blue Sky.
Oh, shout out to Blue Sky. And Jordan, I know you're there, but we'll get to that in a second. David Brody, America's favorite Brooklyn boy. Where could they get more of you and your fellow Brooklyn boy?
You could find me on the Brooklyn Boys podcast, where we do a very special No Marvel Mentions at All episode that comes out later tonight. And you could find me on all social media at David Brody. That's with a Y at the end, including Blue Sky. Yeah. And Threads. If anybody is on Threads, I'm there.
Yeah.
So, and Tribal.
Jordan Blum, it's always important to point out it's spelled Jordan Blum, BLUM, but it is pronounced Bloom. So if people are going to look for your social media, they can find you in all those places. You were one of the first accounts I followed on Blue Sky, so I know you're there.
Oh, it's way better. I'm done with Twitter. Twitter's done. Forget it. Yeah, Bloom Jordan at Blue Sky, and on Instagram you can find the same handle.
Well, thanks again to everyone, and Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy Marveling, and there will be a Craven episode, and the Geekscape live stream is about to continue in another link. This is the end of this part of it, but starting in mere seconds, you can jump into the next part. Thanks again, everybody, and we will see you in December or in the new year, whether or not you see Craven. As the great Stan Lee would say, Excelsior!